Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hey, friend, welcome back to the podcast. Happy Friday. I'm so happy to have you here. And I'm so happy because I am getting ready to pack my suitcase again for another 2 weeks in France. Eek! How fun is this life that I've created for myself? It's such a beautiful yes. And it's so fun that we get to celebrate each other's yeses on this podcast. And I'm so eager to know what your yes is. I would love if you want to send me an email to hello@Phineas Wright House or DM me on Instagram @Phineas Wright House. Of course, those links are in the show notes if you didn't have your pencil ready. But I would love to know, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season? And if you wish that you were also packing your bag for France, I have a fabulous opportunity for you. We are doing the Paris Christmas markets, and that is December 4th through 9th. It is a glorious trip that will be filled with so much festive delight that you might need 2 suitcases. So all of those details are linked in the show notes as well, but I would love to have you join me there. Okay. Speaking of delights, we have today's guest is Kristine Gasbarre. She is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of How to Love an American Man. She has also come out with a new memoir that inspires us to remember the special teachers in our lives and reflect on the change we create when we share our stories. In Show, Don't Tell, Kristine reflects on her 30-year friendship with an extraordinary teacher who shaped her life so significantly. She shares the profound lessons that Mrs. Courthouse taught her and other students on self-discovery, resilience, strength, and showing up fully for life. It shines a spotlight on the power of sharing our lives and our stories with each other as it moves between tragedy, awe, and the heartwarming relationship forged over decades between 2 women from different generations. Above all, this book delivers a moving reminder about the elders who've believed in us and a call to thank them for the lives they've influenced us to lead. I am so delighted to share this beautiful conversation with Kristine Gasbarre. Sweet, fun Chrissy. I am so excited about this conversation. I love you already. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love what you do. When I learned about you and I learned about the podcast, I'm like, I don't know which is cooler, having an amazing New England bed and breakfast or having a podcast. And I just love talking with other women who are just filling up their lives with and doing like what we want to do. I think that's the way we should be living. So,
Thank you. I
yeah.
receive all of that. It is so fun. It's
Hmm.
just, it's so fun to say yes to yourself. And
Yes.
I mean, I already know that I'm an idea factory. Like, I have 8,000 ideas for you, for your business, for whoever I'm sitting on next to on a plane, for anybody. But I also have 8,000 ideas for me. And I'm the only one who I have to ask permission of. And I'm such an easy yes.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I mean, even the name of the podcast, I'm like, wow, we're still in a time where women need that encouragement, like need that we all, I mean,
Yeah.
perhaps more than ever, you know? So, I really, really, yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, me too. Me too. And it's true, this permission, this allowance
Yeah.
of dreamy goodness. I love to watch, even as you were mentioning, that you were looking into the things that I do. I
Yeah.
love to watch women's faces when I tell them what I fill my days with. They're like, what are these words strung together?
Yes.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
Yep.
Even now, when this airs, I will be in France, and it will have been like 6 weeks at this moment.
I'm like, what are these France trips? I need to be on, I lived in Italy for a year, which was probably one of the earliest choices that was to say yes to myself, and that was in the second half of my 20s and but Europe just yeah, amazing, amazing.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I just did southwestern France, the Charente-Maritime, and then Paris and Normandy. And then right now, when this airs, I will be with private clients in Paris and Normandy. And then my next trip will be the Christmas markets in Paris in December. I know. See, I'm looking at
Ish.
your face. It's so fun to me.
Oh, that's awesome. I just need to be around you more.
Yes, please. And you, because this is, of course, I'm saying yes to myself
Hmm.
and I'm doing all of these things as well. But I really love, and you are living this as well. Our lives are an invitation
Yeah,
for other people. Like, you can go on the trips, you can only be available for what delights you, you can
exactly.
lead a dreamy life, you can write best-selling books, you can do all of the things that are in your heart. If it's, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be things
Yeah,
I want to do. It's what
yeah.
you want to do. It's
Yep.
so good.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
I love this question, and it's a step that I wanted to take for a long time, but I've launched my own podcast. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And Wendy, I remember, and I just interviewed one of my old grad school professors for the
Mm.
pod, and he's a thought leader in American media studies, and he was a talking head before he was ever my professor. That's how I knew about him, and part of why I wanted to go to Fordham in New York for grad school. When I was, figuring out what I was going to do after college, he told me in grad school he knew how much I wanted to be a writer and how much I wanted to write books, like he's written and published many, many. And he said to me, "It's a very solitary pursuit. I just need you to like be aware that's the reality." And so I spent the first 20 years of my career very solo and,
Mm.
behind the laptop and getting these like big downloads of life, whether it was writing like for my own memoir or now memoirs with the second one having recently come out. Or I was doing a lot of ghost writing for, higher profile figures, higher profile than me. But I would like spend this intensive time having these experiences and in the past few years, I think especially with what's been going on in the world, and
Yeah.
something that I guess is like part of the subtext of my brand, if I have a brand, is that I grew up in a really small town, and which is still, I would say, like somebody recently who wrote about my most recent memoir. They said it's still male dominated, and that's I feel like that's
Mm,
true.
sure.
And so I just, I was like, I need to be connecting with young women. And even though my own memoirs are intended to be empowering, and I hear from women that they get that from my works, I just need to be like not so solitary. I need to be up closer to the audience. And as I observe, just from my own perspective, how much, despite the work and the choices that many of us have been making in the ways that we live our lives, I just feel like we need to be having these conversations more. Like when I was writing this, I was like, does the world really need another podcast? And then I was like, it needs this one,
That's
it
right,
needs
it
this one.
does.
And did the world really need, pardon me for saying this, but I'm like, did the world really need another white girl memoir? And I'm like, we just need
Totally.
women's
Right.
stories. Like it
Right.
doesn't matter, what our exterior is. Like we need to
Right.
be sharing these experiences, even if we feel like, and I mean,
Yeah.
our own individual experiences are unique when others get to hear them. And
Right.
so this podcast, I mean, it's called What the Woman. And, I've been I've worked in journalism for just as long as I've worked in books for, close to 20 years now. And my career started in book publishing. And then I was sort of just always straddling between, I was writing books and or writing for one website or another, or one magazine or another. And so for the past 5 years, I mean, since the month before the pandemic started, is when like I took my first job in like health communications, to be focused in that space 100% of the time. And so I was just like, and then over the years, working as the health editor for Reader's Digest, print and digital, which I've done now for several years. I'm like, we need to be, there's so much more, there's just more that we need to be digging into and exploring. And so the podcast is giving me an opportunity to do some of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love everything that you said. I think that it's I hear what you're saying about, do we need another white woman with a microphone? I
Yes.
totally hear
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
And I also think, as a white woman with a microphone,
Yes.
that we get to be a good steward of our privilege
Yeah.
and use our voice and share our space and hold space for all women
Yep.
to have the microphone as well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think that there can be a trap, and I'm so glad that neither of us have fallen into it, but of this, well, I'm just going to step back and let everybody else do it, or I'm going to make myself smaller so it doesn't look like I'm trying to take too much attention or whatever. But
Yep.
I just don't think that anyone making themselves smaller is ever in service to the collective. That
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
our example, our modeling, and our generosity with our platform that rising tides raise all ships.
I love that word generosity when we talk about this kind of work, because it does, I really tried to come to it, as I've learned to do, I think, like with this newest memoir. It was my own first memoir in 14 years,
Wow.
and truly wanting to come from a place of service. Like,
Yes.
what can I offer? It's not just about making me more successful, because yeah, earlier in my career, I mean, and I'm hungry, I don't really know what I'm doing yet. I have this goal, I want to write books, and it is it's I don't know if I would pat myself on the back and call it maturity, but like to be in this new place where it's really like how can I best serve? And that was the green light to say yes to myself. Like if that's the intention behind it, then um that's when I'll allow myself to do it. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I'm so eager to hear as you continue this process with the podcast how it differs and how you enjoy or dance with the difference between that solitary pursuit
Yes.
and this sea of words that I mean clearly you probably figured out by now. I am a verbal processor, so I am obsessed with this podcast.
Hmm.
I love it so much. I love all of the women that I've been introduced to, all of the different pursuits that they are engaged in. And I really love that I only do interviews 1 day a week.
Yeah.
So I have anywhere from 3 to 6 hours of expansive, high vibe conversation. I am not the same woman on Thursday afternoons that I was on Thursday morning. And I'm so committed to this because of what it does for me. I'm thrilled that people listen. That's
Yes,
like,
right?
that's so gorgeous and what a
Yes.
blessing. And I would still be doing this if nobody
If
were listening
nobody listens.
because
Yes.
I'm, it's changing me
Awesome.
in a really beautiful way that for me, conversation is such I mean it's like a water slide of of ease and flow and connection and learning and growing, and it's all happening at the same time, and we can do it from the comfort of our homes. We can do it
Exactly.
while sitting on an airplane. We can do, I mean, we have got all of these amazing touch points.
Yeah.
And I feel that because of the podcast as well, it's made my brief interactions with people
Yeah.
more profound because of the depth of these longer hour-long conversations.
That's awesome. Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, I feel like I chat more deeply and connectedly with the barista because of this
Wow.
podcast.
That's pretty cool, Wendy. That's pretty cool. Can I ask you,
Please.
what was the journey? I guess first of all, because I need to research like the Phineas Wright House. How did you get into that? And then what was the green light for you to decide to do this podcast?
Oh, such a good question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, especially in the last 5 years, because I've been really present to wanting to reinvent myself,
Okay.
um, I've been living one yes after the other. And I came to a point in my life through coaching and through an online business program that I didn't even know was going to unlock this door, and it was January 2020. So it was like all the stars aligned
Wow.
for my life to completely and radically change. And I would say that the the key catalyst was realizing that I have agency. So I had been just waiting for somebody else to give me
Yes.
permission to
Yes.
live the beautiful life that I wanted and to live out the dreams that I had in my heart. And I did have a beautiful life, but I wanted more. And I didn't see that I was the gatekeeper to the more that I wanted. I thought somebody else was.
Okay.
So, in exercising that agency and then essentially living in a vacuum because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
it just was building and expanding. And it was like being in I don't know, like your MBA cohort in a, where you're just like the small group of people. I don't have an MBA, but when my ex-husband was, I remember like he was just in this tight knit small group of people and they made leaps and bounds in a short amount of time because of that collective energy in
Okay.
a focused space. And I felt like that's what happened to me. And so I grew up in California. I always wanted to live in New England. My mom is from here, but I have always lived in California. And I knew that one day I would live in New England. I would have a white house with black shutters. I would have a historic barn. I would do weddings there. So here I am. And then over the course of time, that was not my now ex husband's dream. So he exited the building and he started many things here at the house. He also worked full time, but he planted a lot of gardens. And so I am a flower farmer now, but instead of the many varieties that he had started, I only grow peonies and dahlias. And my friend, a really dear friend, my daughter's godfather,
Mhm.
retired and moved to France, and he's a chef. And I wanted to take women to go cook with him. And so that started in October of 2021. I started leading trips to France, culinary trips for solo female travelers, and that's continued to grow. And then a friend suggested that I start a podcast. She was my virtual assistant at the time, so I would just be chatting with her on Voxer
Yeah.
um, all day long while I was doing chores in the farm. And I would just be telling her, oh, I had this idea. I had this idea. Can you make this happen? Can you create this, Canva thing, whatever magic thing
Yeah.
she does that I don't know how to do. And
Yep.
so she's the one who said, I love your chore days because I feel like I just have you in my pocket. And I think you should start a podcast.
Oh,
And
cool.
so I did with a woman that I met in France. We were co-hosting it, and a few months in, it was no longer an alignment for her, and it was so in my heart to continue. So I changed the name, and that was about 200 episodes ago, and I have not stopped, and I love it.
That is very cool, Wendy. That is very, which I have to ask, because we live in California now. We live in the Bay
Oh,
Area. Where
oh,
did you grow up?
I moved from, well, I lived in Southern California, but then
Okay.
I lived in Menlo Park and Saratoga for
Okay.
15 years before we moved here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Where are
Very
you in
cool.
the Bay Area?
We're in Walnut Creek
Oh,
in the
I love
East
Walnut
Bay. Yeah,
Creek.
we do
So
too.
fun.
We do
Oh,
too.
yay.
I was an East Coast girl all my life,
Oh, isn't
except for
that
the
funny?
year that, yeah, I mean, I went to college in Cleveland. So I guess I was a Midwestern girl for 4 or so years, but and then, lived in Italy for a year, and then my husband, now husband, took a job in the Bay Area, and we went on vacation there when I was the summer I was 12 or 13, and
Oh,
I just loved it so much. So
yeah.
similarly, like it was just always in my heart. I was like, I just really think that somehow life's gonna, bring me out to live
Right.
here. And it was the first place that like I didn't seek out or pursue on my own. It's just life just happened, and it was not like the experience of moving to New York, which was, I was young in my 20s on my bucket list, all that, which I'm so glad I
Right.
did it. It was so fun. But so yeah, we're loving it. It's a beautiful area.
It sure is. Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
goodness. So
Yeah.
tell me about the
Yeah.
latest book. Well,
Okay.
actually,
So
can you tell me
yeah.
about your first book?
Yes. So the first book came out in 2011. HarperCollins published it as a paperback.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It was called How to Love an American Man, and it was when my first job was at Simon and Schuster in my, starting in my early mid 20s, and a lot of the books that were popular around that time, like I remember working on He's just not that into you when it came out as a dating self-help book. And then Eat, Pray, Love came out in 2006. And I didn't work on Eat, Pray, Love, but I just remember like so many female colleagues in the industry buzzing about it. And it was the following year when like I read Eat, Pray, Love. Then I went to Italy for 2 weeks with a close friend and had this incredible experience. And my dad's side of the family is from Italy, and I got to meet some relatives in Abruzzo and stuff. It was so awesome. Um, and then actually, um, after I moved to Italy for a year, my grandfather, which is I'm now talking about the book How to Love an American Man, he was my paternal grandfather was like just my person. We were just really, really close. And I was the first grandchild on both sides. And when he got sick, during the year that I was living in Italy, and then he wound up passing away, we learned shortly before he died that he and my grandma had been keeping it secret that she'd been diagnosed with dementia shortly before.
Oh.
Yeah, for a couple years they kept it to themselves. So I realized that like while there's all this buzz around these dating books, I was like, I want to have a really like heart-centered perspective into like what's going on in my generation and why are like
Mm.
Sex in the City was so popular at the time.
Right?
And I was like, what are like, is there something we're missing? And so I spent a year um getting love advice from my grandma and learning about her love story with my grandpa.
Oh
He
my gosh.
he was the child of Italian immigrants, and he had not graduated from high school. He'd been drafted to serve in World War II. So, the engineering training that he got in the war, he brought back to Pennsylvania and started our family's manufacturing business where the guys in the family all still work. And I just, I think we're now having a very different conversation about masculinity and femininity, and there weren't trad wives back then. And so, but I was just so interested in exploring that contrast between what it meant to be a woman in my grandma's generation versus what it meant to me, because I felt kind of and this is a theme in Show Don't Tell in my new memoir too. I was really sort of pushed into the career track of life
Mm.
and resisted that in my young years. And it was my parents, especially my dad, and this high school English teacher, Mrs. Courthouse, who is now the subject of the newer memoir that came out earlier this year. She was my high school English teacher, and the book tells the story of the 30 years of influence she's had in my life. And, now she's in her 80s and only recently retired from teaching. Like her husband passed away and she's been battling breast cancer. This is her fourth bout with it. And
Oh my
so,
word.
I know. And she's so fierce and so active. She just never, and it's partly because she was so devoted to us students, not just in the classroom, but she was that teacher who she led the drama club, she coached the
Mhm.
golf and tennis teams, she coached the mock trial team, she like we joke that her husband like had to come to our musical rehearsals if he wanted to spend time with her, like, and he did, like
Right.
he'd come and be the one laughing in the audience so that we would get used to hearing the audience laugh and stuff in rehearsals. And so I guess, I mean, this newer book, it's I had to make a choice in life, and I really thought that I wanted to be a wife and a mom like I saw most of the women around me doing. But of course, now I'm so grateful that I had figures in my life who it was a very binary choice, like the
Sure.
bifurcation. It was like, if you do this or you do this. And I was like, I really kind of want to do both, but I don't even
Yeah.
know how that's done. And so that was something that was a path that I had to figure out for myself. And I've had to make some sacrifices, and again, like I couldn't have chosen a more isolating career than being a writer, but I saw, Elizabeth Gilbert talks about like the autonomy of a woman, and there was just something in that representation that really called to me. And when we talk about the travel that you do and the travel that I've done, and just that all the beauty that is out in the world to be explored. And I was like, I have to experience that. I have to find a way to make sure that I just can dedicate a space of time in my life to having all that. I didn't meet my now husband until like Mrs. Courthouse until my late 30s, and that was like for us to in my hometown to see a woman who like was not married with children, like from, right out of college or right out of high school. It was so unique. So the book really celebrates the it really, really celebrates educators, but I think it's also, um, I really want all females who read the book to come away just feeling fiercer, just
Mm,
feeling fiercer. And I'm starting to hear from moms who are sharing the book with their teenage daughters, or with their college age daughters, which is like what I hoped would happen, but it's really exciting to see it happening.
right. Oh my gosh. I love that intention. The intention for someone to walk away from interacting with my work and
Yes,
feel fiercer.
yes.
Queen. That gives me chills. It's so good.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. I mean, we all have those, we all have read those or watched those movies that just like stay with you, and maybe like change you a little bit or help you kind of make your next decision a little bit differently. So, um I guess that's what I hoped to do with this book, and it's exciting that we're hearing that. So,
Oh my goodness. It's so great. And how was your teacher?
yeah.
How was she? Did she welcome the opportunity? Did she feel like, yes, I want more people to know how amazing I am? What was she like?
That's such a cool question, and the reason that it's so cool is like she's this anybody who knows her, and which thousands of us adore her. She was so beloved. Parents too.
For
Oh,
sure.
and I was going to say, like, that's part of the reason that she has gotten such great breast cancer treatment, because she would just like, because so many doctors and healthcare professionals, she taught their kids. So she's like one of those people, her finance guy sent his kid, like everybody in her life supports her back because of what she gave to their kids. So the story there is, in 2015, I decided to leave New York. I had spent a total of almost a decade living in New York City, and was ready. I had had a couple disappointing relationships, and I was like, I'm now, I was in my mid 30s. I'm still single, but like I feel ready to own real estate. I've, the money I've spent on New York rent over the years. So, um and I was like, but realistically, financially, I can't cut it in New York. So I found, I grew up in the Pennsylvania wilds, and people who have read the first book or know much of anything about my life, we have a beautiful little lake here. And so I found this very affordable little cabin in the old, like in the neighborhood where I grew up. And Mrs.
Oh,
Courthouse, yeah. And Mrs. Courthouse she lives 4 doors down from my mom and dad. So all through high school, all through junior high and high school, I knew her as my neighbor also. So I talk in Show Don't Tell. Um, she would often drive me to play practice at night. We would ride together. She'd give me rides.
oh,
Um,
great. I love
yeah,
a small town.
I know. I know. This is the quintessential small town. So when I bought my cabin right back here, it's around the corner from my parents' house. She and I started passing each other on the street when we were walking our dogs, or we would go out to happy hour together, and then she got me involved. She and her friends got me involved in some volunteering committees and stuff, and so when I presented the idea for the book to her, she was like, huh. And if you know her, she's a ham. Like she does not step away from the spotlight. She enjoys it. But what was interesting, Wendy, is like she, when I'd be like, we have to get together and talk about this project. She's like, oh, I've got bridge. I got bowling. I can't. And I'm like, dude, you taught me deadlines. Like, and now I'm trying to corral you. And, and so that was the biggest challenge, was just pinning her down because, even while she's going through breast cancer treatment, she has a double mastectomy. Like,
My
you
birth.
cannot, I know, she just doesn't quit. So, and I guess what was also interesting, and I talk about this in the book, is like, right away, I started to realize how much her focus was always us kids. So I would ask her a question about herself, her life, and she would start out like it would all the instantly she'd go to talking about school and the students, and I was like, no, 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 no. I know you're still actively, like, you're still teaching. Even now, she's about to turn 84. She's still subbing. But I
Wow.
had to, I had to always bring the conversation back to make it about her, because she doesn't. She never did. And I realized, um, my dad said recently, like, what is it about her that we all just love? And I said, she's such a big personality, but when you think about it, she never ever makes it about herself. Um, so yeah, that was her
Right.
response to it. It's
Wow, she
just
just holds people as her object of affection and attention. And it makes you think. I mean, don't they say, like, if you're tend to be nervous at a party, if and you're in conversation with someone, if you just keep turning the conversation back to them, they'll think that you're the most amazing person. They don't know anything about you, but they
a
just,
hundred
yeah.
percent.
So she modeled that, but she modeled it to a point that it became her habit, which is also beautiful.
It's who she's always been. It's who she's, and she didn't, I just saw her last night, and she says all the time, I didn't go to school to be a teacher. She had a corporate career for the first 20 years of her professional
Oh,
life, and it's
wow.
when she met her husband. So I guess maybe she had spent those years like focused on her own growth. I don't know. I didn't know her until she and her husband, his job brought them to Pennsylvania. She's now in a small town, not working in the travel and hospitality industry like she did for the first part of her career. And one of the only jobs for women was to be a teacher, and she'd done a little bit, like right out of college she had done some teaching, so she was like, I'll give it a try. And so yeah, it's really a gift to be around somebody who like you thought she was always this big personality, and she really always was, but it just was never ever about her, and that's really beautiful. That's what's memorable about her. And you're so right. It's like, if we can serve, if we can
right?
serve in every situation, if we approach it from that place, you know?
And what a joy for her. I mean, even in travel and hospitality, your focus is on your
Yes.
client, on the guest, on who, I mean, that's what I do.
Good point.
Everyone's my bride, right? Now they're going
Yes.
on a trip, but I still consider them my bride. And that's really fascinating because there is something for that personality type is that when you hold someone again as your object of attention and you see something light up in them
Yes.
because you're holding space for them, it
Yes.
just makes you want to do it more. And then you're watching them grow and expand in confidence. And she just held really beautiful space for people
Yes.
to come home to themselves, to step
Yep.
into who she could see them as
Exactly.
just while she was in conversation or in a classroom.
Yep. Exactly.
Wow, what a gift.
What a gift for, a bunch of sheltered small town kids, especially, I was in high school in the 90s and Nirvana and all the things we listened to back then and like it just and for girls especially just what you could kind of feel like in the music we were listening to back then, the struggles that we were having. And like I think about No Doubt, like Just a Girl, that song, it's like that's like a perfect, or you know and she was just letting us know we were going to be okay out there. She said to me back then, you can play their game, you'll learn the game, because we just didn't know what was waiting for us out in the world, and we were really afraid to go find out. And she kind of kicked me out there and said go. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. It sounds, I can't wait to read it. And it also sounds like a movie,
I hope so. Oh my gosh.
right? So,
I
how do
hope
you feel
so.
about that?
Well, I hope so because she deserves it. And I hope so because, as you and I were saying earlier, we need content around women right now. And we also need to understand that as something as cookie cutter and everyday as school, as a teacher, I mean, that truly can set an individual on a long-term path. So just for us to recognize, and I think I wrote a couple columns for Katie Couric's daily newsletter recently. We've worked with.
I love that that's your life
Oh, thank
because that's so
you.
fun just to say that sentence.
Thank you. I mean, I'm not just name dropping.
Oh gosh, of course not.
It's just like I grew up watching Katie Couric when I was in Mrs. Courthouse's classroom, and now to have her standing behind my work and willing to publish me, for her readers, these are the moments like we have to pause and celebrate,
Yes.
but one of the columns I wrote was just about how tough teachers have it lately. I think like when the pandemic happened and just I mean, we talk about gun laws and just, oh my God, like throwing our bodies on top of these people to protect them, like bubble wrap them, please, because I feel like, and I'm married to a physician, they are also very important, but I'm like healthcare workers and teachers, like and they are getting the brunt of the worst of everything right now.
Right.
And there are survival, like teachers are, do we like, or do we get that? Because we spoke with more than a dozen teachers from around the country, and they're not feeling, many of them, like they're not feeling protected, they're not feeling seen and honored, and they're leaving the profession at record rates. And we know, National Education Association data shows that um college students are entering the education major at a 50% lower rate than they were 50 years ago. And that's crazy. Like you get summers off, and that's not even enough to draw people in anymore, you know?
Right.
Finding all these ways to incentivize people to get their teaching certificates and stuff now. And wow, where have we gotten in society when like these are the people who are preparing your child for a very and increasingly complicated world. We should really be honoring and respecting them. So
Agreed. Oh my gosh. And it's such a, I mean, that's a whole nother podcast.
right? Yeah.
It's big work. All of it is. And I think that that's, I love kind of the only word that's coming to mind is subversive, but that sounds pretty calculated. But I love how this story
Hmm.
supports that argument without being a political piece,
Interesting.
right?
Thanks.
So, like, that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
And you can only get the results of the story you're telling by honoring
Yeah.
this profession and like let's pull in the A team for this, shall we? Because there are kids.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. In the movie, who plays her?
Ooh. Oh my goodness. I say in the book that I mean, she's 4'11". She's a little tyke.
Oh,
She's
I love
so
her.
cute. I say in the book that she Ruth coached the mock trial team. Like that's Mrs. Courthouse. So it would need to be somebody feisty, you know, like a Shirley MacLaine kind of character or yeah, I don't have a specific person in my mind. Maybe I should, but somebody who's a Spitfire. We definitely need somebody who's a Spitfire. Yeah.
I love it.
Hmm.
And what role do you play in this book
Hmm.
and in the story? Because it sounds like it's about her,
Yeah.
but she, like, her role isn't her role without the student.
So something and something that kind of inspired me to get my arms around this as a book project was like getting to know her as like in my mid 30s, you know,
Sure.
20 years after I'd entered her classroom. She was talking to me and she's like, well, you know, when I was in college in DC and I marched with Martin Luther King, or remember that story I told you about? I went to JFK's inaugural ball with one of the boys from the Naval Academy. And I was like, wait a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
And she's like, well, I used to tell you guys this, but I think you just thought like every teacher had lived that kind of life. So when you're a
Mm,
kid in the classroom, you don't quite understand that relevance. So my role in the story is like I unpack those stories from her, but what's also, I mean, feedback that I've gotten, but what was also really revealing to me as I was writing is like there were so many parallels in our lives. Like when she taught me what foreshadowing is as a literary device, but her life wound up foreshadowing mine. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but like when you read the story of how she met her husband and how I met my husband, and we were the exact same age. Like we met our husbands in the same exact way. And she then when she would read the material, she's like, I can't believe how similar our lives have been, you know? And um so I sort of I like I juxtapose a lot of our life experiences against each other. And I guess that's how I would say, but I'm sort of just like the narrator in awe of this woman I've known since I was 14, but also did not know on the level that like what there was just so much more to her that than than I was ever aware, and that I'm so grateful you know how that generation, or I remember when my grandpa was dying, like we found I only a couple years or shortly before he passed away learned that like driven he'd been part of the troops who drove the tanks up in Germany to liberate the concentration camps at the end of the war. And
Oh my
after he
gosh.
died, we found like a Nazi armband that I'm guessing he pulled it off a dead body, which is like amazing, you know? And
Right.
but like that generation didn't tell a lot of stories, but Mrs.
Hmm.
Courthouse she was a little bit more I'm grateful she wasn't private. Like I just had to ask, you know, I just had to ask her to open up and share those stories. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
love how you took something that you shared earlier as being so solitary and you
Hmm.
created community and camaraderie
Thank you.
in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at some point I just have to, because like it's not great to be working on your own all the time, but yes, to have gotten to it was almost like the book gave me an excuse to have to set dates with her, like where we had to get together. You know what I mean? Like I think that was a secret part of my motive, or an unconscious part of my motive in working on this book, because I just wanted that time. I just wanted time with her, and to like ask her those questions. And then I'm like, you know, she started me on my path to become a writer. I have to document this. You know, I have to document it. And of course, amid her crazy schedule and all her activities with her friends and in the community, and it was my chance to say, okay, like I want to learn your story. So it was my way of pinning her down. Yeah.
Oh, and what does she think about the finished product?
She really what I observe is that she's been saying it's like reading my obituary when she first said that, because we went to talk to we went back to our school and we talked to a group of kids, and she said it's just like reading my obituary. It's like listening to my own eulogy. And I said, that's weird. And then I go, oh, I get it. I think we all need to hear what people think about us while we're walking this earth, you know? And she's just so deserving. And, you know, I'm grateful that I'm the one who gets to kind of hold the floor and hold the celebration for her. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's such great work. I cannot wait to read it. I have loved this conversation, Chrissy. I have to have more time with you
Oh,
because
we'll
you're
sync back
so
up.
fun. Yes, I would love that. But please tell everyone where they can find and follow you, how they can listen to the podcast, and where they can get the book.
Thank you so much. So, Show Don't Tell is available wherever books are sold. Right now, it's audio. I read it, but Mrs. Courthouse, I think on some versions of the audio, there's also a few minutes of our like actual interview conversations together. I begged the publisher
Fun.
to do that. My podcast is called What the Woman with Kristine Gasbarre, and you can download it anywhere podcasts are available and on YouTube as well. And I'm Chrissy GQ on social media, and it's Chrissy with a K.
I love it. Well, we will link everything down in the show notes. But thank you so much for your time. I have loved this conversation.
Hey, Wendy, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.